Welcome everyone, thank you very much for coming to another AnyCameraWillDo night. Thank you very much to everyone on the live stream for joining us as well. First of all, I'd like to thank the people who make this happen, Jackson Speed, Create Engage and Tavsa. Without them we couldn't do this, so thank you very much, mainly these guys. And a big thank you to our supporters who help us with all sorts of cool stuff to give away and all that sort of stuff. And that's Lemac, Road, Film Inc., Sydney Sound Brewery, and Mango Tree Story. So thank you very much to you guys. Now we're going to be giving away a bunch of cool stuff from those guys later in the night. What we're going to do is we're going to start the night with a talk from the Zelos team. And these are a very cool group of people who actually won some stuff from us on one of our previous events, and that helped them make the film, so we're pretty proud of that. Then we're going to have a Q&A with those guys, which you can ask all sorts of questions. During that Q&A, we're going to give some bits and pieces away as well, so definitely ask a question. If you ask a question, that gives you the chance to win. And then we're going to have an intermission. During that intermission, we will talk to you a bit more about some other stuff we're going to give away. Then we're going to have a talk from the tail job. Brian, wherever Brian is, he's going to come up and he's at the back. He's going to come up and talk to you about the tail job. And again, we'll have a Q&A. And then after that, we're going to give away miles of stuff. And then right at the end of the night, we're going to have a pitching session where we've got 6 people who have already entered via Facebook. And they're going to pitch their projects for the chance to win a $1,600 Sydney Sound Brewery prize. So thank you very much to Sydney Sound Brewery. It's a pretty hell of a big prize. First up is Jo-Anne Brechin and her crew from Zelos. They're going to come up here, and once they're ready, we're going to play the trailer.
Something happened in India. I know I've hurt you, but if you could just feel how little it means.
So what? I screw someone else, and we all live happily ever after.
Bernard is writing a book.
Remember, have fun in there. The first step is dressing like a writer.
Why did he just get rid of her?
Break up with her.
Nah, I'll her off.
Look around you, man. There's 5 girls to every guy in this city. Can you imagine how enriched a relationship would be if both parties had the freedom to be unfaithful?
Everything will be fine. He just has to do it.
Basically, it's like a game of hot or not. Right for hot, left for not.
When you tell a person to do a thing, how many times are they supposed to do that thing?
How many times does a person want to do that thing?
Are you older or younger than 40?
I'm younger. A lot younger. Let's go back to your place and get naked.
You know something? I liked you better as a sap.
Did you order the cactus?
Yep.
Me too. I think we may have sunk the Titanic.
Good thing you didn't get the cat.
I'm Jo-Anne. I am director and co-producer of Zelos. This is Claire. Do you want to introduce yourself? Claire is producer and screenwriter. And Emma is our lovely cinematographer.
I wrote the screenplay in 2013. No, I started it as my Afters project when we were at Afters together in 2013. And then I continued to write it after that and spent the next sort of year or so developing it. When Jo-Anne and I met, we talked about this project a lot, and we said that we were going to, after we finished Afters, we said that we were going to make it into a film in 2 years, and exactly 2 years after we shot it, which was in January earlier this year. So last year we had a script reading at the Hub Studio in Chippendale, and then that sort of, which went really well, and then that sort of kick-started the whole film.
Yeah. It was also coming to this, one of the events, it would have been August last year or July last year.
Yeah.
And we won a little Lemac $1,000 hire voucher, so that was sort of the sign that we should make the film. So we did, which was like a lot compared to our budget at the time. Actually, one of the best things I think we did was we just set ourselves, like we just said, we're going to shoot on January 6th. Like we're going to shoot from January 6th to January 20 or whatever it was. And we just locked in a date, and then we just worked backwards from there, which was kind of a completely unrealistic date. I think it was 6 months from when we decided to make the film, which we still had to do script editing and cut it down by 20 pages to the time we shot. So
it made for a pretty stressful 6 months. And when we got to about October or November and we didn't have our lead actors, we sort of considered pushing back that deadline, but then we thought it was better just to push on through and not see our families or loved ones for Christmas or a few months and hit the deadline. So we did.
But I would say that was one of the most powerful things, because also it just builds momentum. And when you can say to people, our shoot dates are January 6th to January 25th, whatever, like people will jump on board because there's something concrete to jump on board for, you know what I mean? Whereas if you just kind of start attaching people going, oh yeah, we're going to shoot it in 2017 sometime, you know, people don't necessarily jump on board as well as they would if you have concrete dates.
And we also decided January was a really good time because most people were not very busy then.
And we hoped free.
And we also decided to shoot it in a 3-week block rather than spacing it out over, so that we could just get it over with. Because that's sort of one of the things that we toyed with about, you know, whether to shoot on weekends for
6
a
months,
year or,
And I think something else, like a really smart decision we made in hindsight, was to keep our crew really, really small. We only had maybe kind of 12 people on set.
15
and that was including cast often. Which was kind of great. I mean, we were shooting in an apartment, so that kind of made us keep it small. But it was also great because the crew gelled super quick. You never had anybody just standing around waiting. Like everybody was sort of doing 3 or 4 jobs, and it just, everybody became really invested in the film as well because they, you know, had so many roles to play in it. I think that was a really good thing. And to really handpick your crew in terms of personality, because we were essentially living together. Like Emma and I lived on set for like 10 days and slept on set. So handpicking your crew and people who you can essentially live with is really important.
Jo and I had actually been working on a doco for how many, like 3 or 4 months beforehand, and we gelled immediately. And she'd been talking about Zelos for a while, because we were shooting in Newcastle, so we'd have, you know, 2.5 hour drives, and we'd just be talking about the story and, you know, just getting to know it really. And then Jo said, do you want to come on board? And I love the script, so it was one of those no-brainers, because like I said, it's in January, so no one's doing anything in January, and it was 20 days straight, which was nuts, but, you know, also a fun challenge. And, you know, it was the kind of script that was very achievable in that time, and with the budget, or the no budget that we had, and the $1,000 that we had from Lemac, and of course, like in-kind support from a lot of people as well. And it was a kind of project that was really magical in that every single person who came on board, everything just kind of snowballed. So, you know, Definition came on and really helped us out with cameras and things, and then Lemac obviously helped us more than the 1,000, which was fantastic. And, you know, just more and more people came on, and it was kind of, it was just kind of a blessed project in that way, that as more people came on, more people got excited about it, and we just got bigger, better locations, got better actors, just everything kind of escalated very quickly into something that was closer to what we hoped it would be.
Yeah. I think one fabulous thing about Emma and about like crewing a low budget film is crewing people who are willing to make things work with nothing. You know, like I know as a director, writer, you can often approach cinematographers and they demand all these things and they won't do it without grips and gaffs and everything else, but having people who are willing to make things happen on nothing. People who are crazy. Who work with lamps instead of proper lights. But I think another thing that really made it achievable was that I think the script originally was like 104 pages or something like that. And it was coming here, it was advice from, who's the guy, Nat, who made Broke? Heath Davies, yeah. So I spoke with him afterwards, after this night, and he was asking how long the script was, and I said, oh, it's 104 pages, and he's like, shoot nothing over 80 pages. He's like, do not go into this with anything over 80. And it was such a great idea. We actually cut 24 pages from the script, which seemed daunting at the time, but it was completely doable. And still, we ended up with probably 30, 40 more minutes of footage than we kept in the film ultimately. So that was a great pointer. So don't go in with any more than 80 pages because you won't need it, and it's then really achievable when you break down your schedule. Well, I'm reading that, actually you recommended it, that great Elizabeth Gilbert book, Big Magic, which I highly recommend to anybody in the creative arts. And she had this great passage saying that it's not so much a question of what are you passionate about, but what's your favorite flavor of shit sandwich? And it's like, are you willing to put up with the shit that comes with being a filmmaker, which means taking some shitty job, that you have to try and do all your work and not get caught and fired while you're doing your work. And that's kind of that's how I make it work. But then, Zelos has been great, and it's kind of, once you take that chance to make that feature, it's been amazing how much more freelance work, how much more paid work I've gotten as a filmmaker since having taken that leap. Because people just respect you. The minute you say you've made a feature and you can show them a trailer for it, people take you seriously, oddly.
You have to take that chance, though, because, a couple months after, I didn't get work for a month and a half after this. So it's like, you have to take that chance and go, okay, probably missed 2 or 3 little things here or there, but is it worth it in the long run? And I think yes, it is, because there's no point in, if I want to be a feature cinematographer, what's the point of me shooting a bunch of corporate jobs? Like, that's not going to get me there. So yeah, I think you need to, if that's what you're aiming for, you have to just start doing it.
Stretched very far.
It's stretched really far.
Limac are incredibly generous.
Yeah,
Limac are your friend.
Lynn is my best friend.
Yeah.
No, approaching the look of a film like this, you have to, the first things that you guys sent me was the Duplass brothers.
The puffy chair.
The puffy chair, which I couldn't finish because it made me very scared. So don't send your DP the puffy chair.
No.
But no, I guess, we kind of just ended up putting together a range of films that were kind of American indie, New York style filmmakers, and I guess you have to keep it realistic, but definitely don't. I don't know, you still got to aim really high with what you're doing. And Jo and I spent like 2 weeks, I think, doing a shot list, and on day 3 threw it out the window. As part of creating the look, like, we knew it was going to be natural light just due to our limited resources. Definition very fortunately gave us an Alexa, which gave us kind of a comfort in knowing that, the skin tones are always going to be there. When it gets to the grade, we're going to have a lot of flexibility, that's not great.
That's not great.
What you saw, just close your eyes. And we're very fortunate as well to get Trish Cahill, who helped me and Jo kind of, finish our vision for the film. I'm just rambling.
Because we had no money, so it was kind of like, what can we do with a decent looking apartment and like $200 worth of IKEA lights? Like, was essentially it. And Emma found great ways of, like, we had a lot of, because it's such a domestic setting, so we shot in kitchens and bedrooms and things, so Emma just found really nice, like, those LED strips of, like, to give light out of cupboards and things like that, just any way to sort of fill it.
We had an amazing IKEA meeting once where we spent 2 hours in IKEA talking
we just got
through
lost.
the look, and we got very lost. Talking through the look and buying a lot of, like, lamps to return later.
Well, that was the great thing. You should all watch The Puffy Shed. Don't send it to your DP, but watch it. And the Duplass brothers, because that was something Claire and I watched a lot of, and interviews with them, because he basically says, go and buy yourself a camera with a 30-day return, shoot your film in 20 days and return the camera. So that was kind of our theory with a lot of stuff.
I kept the IKEA lamps, actually.
I've still got one on my desk. But I think we just found any way we could to, like I said, I don't think we actually compromised in the look we wanted to achieve. We just found a look that we could achieve.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was never like we got a Transformers film. We were like, it's going to look like this. It was always within our means, and watching things like The Beginners and Mistress America and smaller films like that were a little bit bigger budget than what we had, but something we could at least aim for. I guess there's no point in getting something that's a $20 million film and saying, I want my no budget film to look like that. But there's definitely ways to find, your creative voice within that. And and I guess for us as well, it's a lot of just figuring out staging and other things that we can do beside the lighting.
Yeah. In a way, like, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but don't be afraid to imitate. Like, I mean, we kind of spent 3 months watching every low budget film we could find, or films that were low budget that we adored, like The Beginners and like Crazy and Short Term 12 and things like that. And Emma and I basically would watch them and just screenshot.
Yeah.
And that became our shot list. Like, we would each individually screenshot, and then we'd print them all out and we'd have them on a table, and we ended up filling in our scenes with the shots that we adored and the staging we adored from other films, you know what I mean? And made it our own. And that was a really handy way of doing it.
Like, my script on set had 1 page of words, and then the second page was just literally like filled
screen grabs
of things that we thought would fit with a scene, and we didn't use it all the time, and I lost it a lot on set, but it came in handy definitely when you're getting stuck in a scene and you're going, shit, what are we doing here? Like, I think our final scene is a good example. It was the last day of the 10 days, I think, and we were shooting it was in the middle of the night, and we're all tired, and we had both actors, and it was a scene that was written in a doorway, and we got to the doorway, and it's just this most hideous light in the doorway, and we were just like, this isn't working, so we kind of took 10 minutes, went and watched a scene from Beginners, and came back and completely changed the staging of it, and it ended up being one of our favourite scenes in the end, and it was, you know, the whole thing is quite tight, and you know, you're in an apartment the whole time, so you can't really get that far back, but this is the one time that we got out a 14mm lens and did a massive wide in the apartment and had them on either side of the apartment. It's kind of this final acceptance of the breakup kind of scene, and it really worked.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. You'll all forget by the time it comes out. But no, but it was great because it ended up being the one time that we ever used a wide lens in the apartment, and it worked thematically, and it was one of the times that we had to go back to our references and have a think before we just started shooting.
This is a question for Emma. There's a photo or a few photos floating around on the on your Facebook page of you sitting in the back of a pickup truck. And
who asked this?
Whenever you know, I'm kind of someone asked me to do a car scene, some kind of moving. I run a mile because they're always difficult. Are you able to just run us through some of the technicalities and some of the issues you had to face shooting a moving car? I'll post this photo. I should be able to. There we go. There it is.
You'll see the picture in a second. Basically, it's me in the back of a pickup truck with a vest on that's tied into a million different places to stop me from falling out. And we needed to get shots over the Harbour Bridge and the Anzac Bridge with no permission.
Not that bad.
There were, anyway. So basically, you know, getting a car rig with an Alexa is just difficult, and rather than, they were going to be amazing shots, and we knew that they were going to be one of the things that really escalated our film into making it, you know, you do these little things to try and make it look higher budget than it is, and yes, that's on the Anzac Bridge there.
There's actually a worse one where she's standing up.
Oh no, that's not on camera. I had to stand in
the rocks.
At the rocks. That was a very interesting experience. We just had Christian Brunetto, our grip, who we got for one day, who's a good friend, and he very kindly came on board and had actually gotten us a vibration isolator from Afters as well, which I was so excited about. And it was a really hectic day. It was a pickup day, and we went to Definition to pick up all the gear. We got everything from Lemac as well. They were giving us all of our lenses. We got there, Christian had the vibration isolator. I had not grabbed the tripod head. It was just me on that day, and I'm notoriously bad for not checking over my gear. That's what I rely on my assistants for. So I'd not brought the right head, and we ended up with this tiny tripod, which you might be able to see, which was just the worst, and we just strapped it down as much as we could, and
it ended up breaking.
We broke it. The vibration from the ute ended up snapping the metal.
And then my mum drove like an hour and a half to bring us my tripod. At like 12 o'clock at night in the rocks.
Julie. Joe's mum is incredible. It was. I mean, you do anything you have to get the shot, and it's probably not something I'd do again. I think naively I thought it'd be really fun. It was not, but the shots were worth it. And yeah, I think in future I don't know, when you have no budget, there's nothing you can do. It's like, yeah, of course, I'd love to have planned and gotten a grip in and, you know, talked about it and got it done properly. But, you know, also we would have had to have closed off both those roads, gotten a, you know, huge amount of police escorts. It just wasn't feasible otherwise. So
I think it was one of those things where we kind of thought the fines would probably be cheaper than getting the permits, so we took the chance.
The jail time. We were willing to risk the jail time.
Yeah.
And special shout out to the local motorbike club who supplied us with a rider who didn't care.
My question is, and this is something I've asked nearly every single filmmaker here, how did you decide that this was the story that you wanted to spend the next 2-3 years of your life creating and bringing to the screen?
Well, we didn't know it was going to be 2 to 3 years. I think there's a healthy dose of naivety that goes into it.
No. Well, not so much on my part. I mean, it's such a great question. It obviously has to be something that, you know, calls to you, because you are going to spend 2 or 3 years of your life. A huge part of Zelos, like what was so attractive about it was that, you know, it was so well written. Like the dialogue was really snappy. It was such a great story, but at the same time it was so contained that it was so doable. You know what I mean? Like it was essentially kind of one location and then just a few minor locations. So that was definitely a driving factor, in that it was something we could definitely achieve as a first film. But I mean, the story's got to be there and it's got to appeal to you, which it did, definitely. And I think it was great that, like, Claire, like, allowed me to be there for some of the script, like, you know, work in the script, and we took those 20 pages or 24 pages out together so that we could kind of, it was something then I had, some say in as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it's got to appeal to you, but I think just starting out with something practical that's doable is good. Yeah.
And it was part of the motivation behind writing it, was because I knew it was feasible to film.
Yeah.
So, and because we'd talked about it from the outset, and Jo had known the story for such a long time.
Yeah. But I would never say take on a script that's doable and shit. You know, like, make sure you love it, because it's gonna, you know, almost kill you.
Hello, this is a question for Jo and Claire. What sort of strategies did you use to get people excited about your film?
I don't know that we had a strategy as...
I think we were excited.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going to be excited about your project, right? So you just pitch it with your excitement and hope that, you know, the right people will always jump on board and the wrong people won't be excited by your project.
And at the end of the day, it comes down to that. And you have to demonstrate that, I mean, so many people say that, you know, you have to demonstrate that you can actually see the project through, which was why they're having that deadline, and yes, we're committed to making that happen really helps.
And then it became an offer. It wasn't like, it was like, we're shooting in January, do you want to come do it with us? Like,
it also comes down to, like, especially with cast, like, people liked the script.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm the writer, but that helped. Like, that's what got people excited, was that they actually liked, I guess they liked us.
Hopefully.
Our
one of us at least.
They only had to like one. So that and then they liked the project itself.
And having great people attached helps. Like, you know, that we had Emma attached on board, getting support from Lee Mack and Definition, and being able to pitch those names definitely helps.
And also a lot of people we found through other people. So by that stage they already knew somebody who was attached, so it wasn't like two randos coming to them.
Yeah. And in answer to kind of your earlier budget question, staying ambiguous, but in a sense, like, because I mean, the actual production, Claire and I funded that, like, with what we had in our bank accounts. So I think that also helps when you kind of are honest about that with people you're attracting, is that, you know, we're just funding this out of our own pockets. Do you want to come on our adventure? It does kind of inspire people, because they know that you're in it just to build your career, and you're in it with honest intentions, and people will sort of jump on board with that, I think. Yeah.
Hey there, I'm Michaela. I think you just answered my first question, which was how did you get your other funding? I saw that you had a crowdfunding campaign as well, and then your first $1,000, and then the rest was self-funded.
And then we also, like, once you move, like, basically you start with whatever you have, and then once you move along the process, especially once the film is made and shot, it's easier to find. We found investors after that, but you don't begin, no one invests in an idea.
Well, especially from first-time filmmakers.
Yeah.
Like, so you kind of have to put your money where your mouth is. And then we shot something great that had a good story, and then we got investors in the back end.
So when you say you found investors, can you break that down? Or you don't have to, but
No,
obviously.
I really can't because I asked along the way. So I'm a first-time producer, and I asked along the way other producers, how do you find investors? And there really isn't any simple answer. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, it's the same thing. It's like it's how you would go about production. Like, you just get really good at begging and approaching everybody with outlandish questions, and hopefully somebody says yes to you. Basically.
Yeah, there isn't a simple answer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's not like we're hiding our investors from you. It's like, it's just kind of this...
They all came, it's in very different ways. Like, and
Yeah, I think that people feel like it's a mysterious process, so I'm interested in hearing
It is a mysterious
But I mean, it
process.
was essentially the same process in terms of like, we looked at, like you would when you would lay down to shoot, you'd be like, okay, I need my crew, I need my cast, you just start, you look at who you want to work with and you start approaching them with what you've got. And I think it was the same way. We looked at heaps of avenues. Like, we did a little bit of crowdfunding. We looked at private investors, which is very hard options. We take all got no's, but like we ended up, you keep looking at other marketplace options.
And you have to show them what they're going to get in return.
And a trailer, you still essentially, I think the way we got it was having shot the film. Because still, even if you go and make this amazing trailer, like, unless people can watch your actual story through and see that you've shot it well, you've got an amazing cinematographer, that you've got great cast, they're still probably not going to take a chance on you. Like, you kind of have to take the chance on yourself.
And you have to be, like, I do a lot of cold calling to businesses, and, I got insulted a lot. That's okay, because I worked in a call center like 12 years ago, so I'm used as you have to be unafraid to you're going to get laughed at, but, one person out of 100 is going to show some interest, and they're probably going to show interest and then not invest, but they might tell somebody else, and then that person might get in contact with you. Like, there really isn't a simple, you spend a lot of time just putting yourself out there and your project out there with the hope of mustering out some interest, basically.
My other two questions were how you went about casting and what you know at the end of filming that you wish you knew at the beginning of filming.
Wow. Big questions. The casting we did ourselves through Facebook. So when we did the script reading, we went through the Hub Studio database, which the Hub Studio is a really, really great place that's been very supportive, and they put us in touch with actors. The guy who runs it, Ollie, he put us in touch with actors who he thought would be good, and then we ended up using a couple,
four of them,
yeah. And then the rest is you watch show reels and show reels and show reels, and you spend many weeks of your life doing that, and then you narrow it down, and then you hunt them down on Facebook, and then
Don't use casting agents or agents.
Yeah, we approached everybody privately.
Yeah, and I think even so, like, even people we got attached privately, we would ultimately end up going through their agent. But it's such a better approach when the actor loves your script and they want to do it, and they go back to their agent going, they're only offering me this, but I really want to do it.
Yeah.
Sign, do up the paperwork, rather than trying to go through an agent and trying to convince them to even send the cast member the script is impossible. So approach them privately. It's so doable.
And I think a really good thing here is actors are so keen to do feature films that they were all very open to being contacted, in kind of creepy ways.
Yeah.
Vimeo.
And just be careful, when you send out your bulk, pro forma email, saying somebody that you love, their credits that they've done and this and that. Don't do that at 3 a.m. on Facebook. When you think enter means enter down the line, and it actually sends a message before you've put their credits and their name into it.
I contacted one of our actors through his Vimeo profile, and the response was like, whoa, I didn't even know Vimeo could send me messages.
Yeah, but people are super open to it.
He was in the film.
So doable.
Yeah.
Don't use agents. Yeah. I think something I learned along the way is, everybody's going to tell you need all these things to be able to make a film. And every department's going to tell you they need all this stuff to be able to make your film, and just don't listen to it. Just be like, you can't have it. Can you make my film?
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of people. I mean, but there's also a lot of people within the industry who will tell you it's impossible, and it's not. So
it's very
listen
doable.
to that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I took away from as being a cinematographer is that you have to be prepared to lose anything, in that scenes get cut, and especially the scenes that you love are going to be cut. And yeah, I think one of the biggest learning curves for me was
Welcome
definitely
to being a writer.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. But yeah, definitely the biggest thing for me was learning to let go and just be happy with every scene in its own way, so that, yeah, I don't know, I guess I now pressure myself to be happy with everything before I leave the set, knowing that half of it might disappear.
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing, and I think somebody told me that before I went on set, and then they said, like, don't ever, you know, call cut and wrap a scene until you're actually happy as a director. I think it's so easy when you've got all these people and time pressures and everybody going, come on, like, we've got 7 other scenes to shoot this day, to go, oh, okay, that'll do. You know what I mean? And obviously being aware of time constraints and not being a crazy director who'll shoot a whole scene in a day. But, you know, don't walk off until you're satisfied, because you're the ones going to have to sit with it for the next, you know, year and justify all your decisions to editors and colorists and to everybody else. And you've got to be happy with your decisions. Yeah.
But do you have any advice for female filmmakers and actors in the industry?
Just do it. Like, just make films.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like,
I think the strongest voice you can have as a female filmmaker is going out and making things, and just, you know, it's more powerful. Like, say Bonnie Elliott just got her ACS letters last month at the ACS Awards, and so she's the 10th female DP to ever get her letters in Australia. And I think it's a powerful thing when you just go out and kick butt and just do well at your job. I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, like, you don't need to. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
just let your work speak for itself and just
exactly.
make your work.
I think that the women who work in the film industry are very hardworking because you have to prove yourself. So I think, you just need to forget that there's any prejudice, and you just work as hard as you can and just keep working and just.
And I think that comes back to the thing of, like, I mean, I don't know, I think, you know, it's, the terms subject, but like, I don't think it should be gender-based. I think it should just be, you know, the best script or the best concept or the best anything should get the funds, the best, like, it's just should be based on quality of work, you know what I mean? So you just gotta, just like every male in the industry, you've got to prove your quality of work, you know, and just get busy doing that.
We've kind of run out of time, so if we could get a big round of applause. Thank you very much to the Zelos team.